Hello everyone and welcome back to another Underworld video. In this video we're going to be covering Jacob Lane and Quint Lane because they're kind of connected. Dr. Jacob Lane was the ruthless director of Antigen and the main antagonist in Underworld Awakening. He is also an evolved Lycan, but he's not as powerful as his son Quint Lane since he hasn't inoculated himself with the Corvinus strain as much as Quint. You can see here that Quint Lane is an absolutely massive Lycan, towering probably around 15 feet tall, whereas Jacob Lane, he turns into more of almost like a wolfman form. He actually doesn't increase in size that much. A conversation between Dr. Lane and his son suggests that at some point prior to the purges, both he and Quint discovered the existence of the two immortal species and for unknown reasons opted to become Lycans. His wife is also mentioned as having chosen to remain a human. Lane considers this her abandonment of himself and their son. However, this theory is only suggested rather than being stated. It is also possible that he and Quint were accidentally infected with lycanthropy and then attempted to force Lane's wife into becoming a Lycan as well. He is later revealed to be part of the Lycans' master plan to eradicate their vampire enemies. After Selene attacks Antigen headquarters, he attempts to escape with her daughter Eve as his prisoner. Selene rushes the van and tips it over, causing it to crash. While Quint is fighting Selene, Lane turns to his hybrid form and almost kills Sebastian when he tries to prevent him from kidnapping Eve. But before he can do so, Eve escapes and attacks Lane. As they fight, he gains the upper hand and pins Eve against a car. A vampire named David attacks Lane with a shotgun and shoots him twice, but he is unaffected by the gunshots. Catching Lane off guard, Eve attacks him, and they appear evenly matched until Eve grabs Lane and slams him into the windshield of a car. She quickly rips out his throat and kills him. His powers and abilities. As an evolved Lycan, Jacob Lane has raw strength and brute power and is capable of holding his own in battle. Lane seems to have more in common with the Lycan vampire hybrid Michael Corvin than with his son Quint. As he is not as wolf-like, Lane is capable of sustaining incredible damage and still healing himself and can attack with tremendous strength and speed. However, his enhanced abilities are not as great as those as his son, due to the lesser amount of Corvinus strain injections in his system. We also find out that Jacob Lane and other members of Antigen were providing fake credentials and tests for Lycans after the purges. Detective Sebastian tells Selene that the government declared mission accomplished on the Lycans and were to focus solely on the vampire threat. So while vampires continued to be hunted down and eradicated, the Lycans were living in secret and strengthening their numbers. We also see the average Lycans in this movie being portrayed much smaller, described by David as diseased and starving, but this is probably only the Lycans that were accidentally infected and were living before the purges, not the ones that were turned after by Antigen. After the purges, these Lycans were forced to live and hide in the sewers underground as not to be killed. David implies that something has them riled up, which is why they would risk showing themselves at all. These Lycans do try to chase after and capture Eve, so although they look a lot different than the Lycans we see in Antigen, they could still be working with the Lycans of Antigen. Although Jacob and Quint Lane are Lycans, they're more like hybrids because they're Corvinus enhanced Lycans, so they are resistant to silver and sunlight. And I think that if Jacob and Quint's only choice were to become regular Lycans that were weak to silver, I think he would have declined. I think being a hybrid was the only reason that they turned themselves, because they wanted eternal life and all the benefits without any of the drawbacks. And now we have Quint Lane. Quint Lane was the son of Antigen director Jacob Lane. He is a Lycan enhanced with the Corvinus strain due to the injections of the Corvinus strain derived from the tissue samples stolen from the hybrid child, Eve. So Selene's daughter Eve, because she is the daughter of Michael Corvin, she is a direct descendant of Alexander Corvinus, the first ever immortal. And because of this, through her blood they can inject themselves with it, giving them access to the most pure of the Corvinus strain, enhancing their strength to an even further level than the previous vampire elders. In my opinion, Eve and Quint Lane are probably two of the characters that could display the most raw strength of all the other immortals. Quint Lane is the polar opposite of the vampire Selene. Whereas she is a vampire enhanced with the Corvinus strain, he is a Lycan enhanced with the Corvinus strain. His strength is extreme, even for one of his species. Due to his multiple injections of the serum developed by Antigen, he has the ability to heal almost instantly, as well as having an apparent immunity to silver. Due to his extreme strength, his father uses him as the muscle of Antigen, ordering him to hunt down any enemies or threats to the company, including attacking Selene and killing Lita, a scientist who had threatened to expose Antigen for their mistreatment of Eve. She threatened to expose Antigen after she found out they were going to kill Eve to harvest her of all of her tissue to make more inoculations for himself and the other Lycans. Little is known of Quint's background or family life, other than a single comment made by his father suggesting that Quint's mother abandoned the family by choosing not to become a Lycan. Whether this points to Quint and his father intentionally becoming Lycans, or whether they were both bitten accidentally and tried to force Quint's mother to become a Lycan as well, is unknown. Although it can probably be assumed that both of them just wanted the added benefits of strength and eternal life, and maybe their mother didn't want to become a beast or a monster, she wanted to just remain human, and they couldn't let her do that. In Underworld Awakening, Quint leads the assault on Thomas's vampire coven, in which he and the other Lycans kill nearly every vampire there. He and his forces then leave when Thomas and the remaining Death Dealers gift him with the Tri-Blood hybrid. Quint then faces Selene in a final battle in the parking garage of his father's company, where she follows him in hopes of saving her daughter. When Selene enters an entrance that's too small for Quint, he is forced to shift back to human form. Selene confronts Quint for the last time and punches a hole in his stomach and stuffs a silver nitrate grenade in it. When his instant healing takes place, his wound closes, sealing the grenade inside of his stomach. The grenade explodes, and a second later he explodes too. Revealing his immunity to silver only runs skin deep, or is at least only a partial immunity. Quint is a brutal and cruel character. He is completely loyal to his father though, as his father to him. Quint is also seen being incredibly confident and thinking he is superior to the other Lycans due to his instant healing abilities and immunity to silver. As an enhanced Lycan, Quint has the ability to change into a werewolf form more than twice the size of any normal Lycan. His full Lycan form closely resembles that of the first generation Lycan, having more hair, more musculature, and a longer muzzle, and being mainly quadrupedal. He also has enough control over his transformations that he can turn only his hand and can presumably change other parts of his body as well. Quint's hand transformation is very similar to when Michael transforms just his hand in Underworld Evolution to open the paint cans. We have never seen a normal Lycan able to transform specific body parts, so I think we can safely assume this ability of controlled transformations of the body parts is specific to hybrids or Corvinus enhanced Lycans. However, when Quint changes, the transformation process seems to be quite painful, and when he turns his hand, he groans in pain. Let alone when he unleashes a full transformation. He screams in agony. This could be a cause of his grotesque and immense size in this form, or it also could be a factor that he's a new Lycan and he hasn't yet mastered his transformations like older Lycans have. In time, he could possibly learn how to transform faster and with less pain, but it could be that because his transformation is so large, it would still be painful. As a result of multiple inoculations, his enhancements are immense and he is physically far superior to Selene, an enhanced vampire. The only drawback of his huge size is that he seems to be fairly slow compared to normal Lycans, and he must revert to his form to get through small spaces like cement doorways. So we can surmise by how Quint Lane's transformation worked and how he kept inoculating himself with Eve's pure Corvinus strain in order to enhance his own abilities, that if Selene continued to inoculate herself with the Corvinus strain, that she could also enhance her own abilities even further. It's important to note that Quint can endure attacks that would kill most Lycans or vampires, such as Selene stabbing him in the head, which we see killing 2 Lycans in another movie, and shooting him with silver bullets, which he is shown to be almost completely immune to. Unlike the earlier installments of the Underworld series, Quint Lane's form was entirely CGI generated, whereas they usually sometimes use a mixture of a little CGI but mostly practical effects. Also, given that the serum is experimental, it's possible that Quint's limited immunity could have been completely reversed with a perfect serum. Quint was also shown to have yellowish eyes in his giant Lycan form while Selene was fighting him, despite the fact that his eyes turn black when he starts to turn, which was the normal eye color for a hybrid. It's also worth noting that since Quint kept receiving inoculations, it's possible that he needed to keep having them, otherwise he might lose his power and revert to a normal Lycan. This problem could possibly be resolved if you could find a way to get the strain so pure that it was equivalent to getting blood from Alexander Corvinus, because as we know, Selene's abilities stay enhanced forever, and she never has to ingest more blood or more of a serum or anything like that. We see Marius suffered this limitation with Michael Corvin's blood, but stated that the blood of Eve, the source of Quint's power, would have made his abilities permanent. So it's possible that Quint's abilities were permanent. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Right now I'm working on a video covering all the different vampires in the Blade series, the different characters, and the different species of vampire. So that video should be coming out sometime soon. If you did enjoy the video, leave a like, and if you haven't, subscribe. I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.